So, welcome back everyone. Yep, that is of course right. So, this was going to be out, probably like January or like March, and it's June, so just kind of ignore that. So, these are of course the top 10 games I've completed in 2024. Now, quick note, these do not have to be games that came out in 2024. These are just games that I completed for the first time in 2024. So, I'm also in counting. I'm also counting uh, remakes or re-releases in this list as long as it's a completely different experience. If I played the original and not different versions of a game, like the PS5 version of Grand Theft Auto, because I played that game back in 2018 and 2022, and I wouldn't count the PS5 version. Yeah, so let's get into the video. So of course at number 10 we of course have Dante's Inferno. So this one was based off a old myth an old Greek myth. I like it. It's a really good game. It's a hack and slash and has been kind of called a God of War clone, which is kind of sad because the game itself is pretty interesting and honestly was one of the best ones I played of last year. Yeah, I really do like the story and the characters in this one. The gameplay itself is also very fun, and yeah, it was also a fun game to review when I covered it last year. And of course, next up, The Order 1886. So this one was a PS4 exclusive that unfortunately did not get the recognition it deserved. It's about a group that pretty much hunts down werewolves and other stuff, and honestly, it's a really fun game. I played it, I think, last October, and honestly, it was a lot better than I was expecting. I knew about the game before because my brother-in-law had it, and I kind of wish I tried it all the way back then because honestly, it was really fun. It's also one I do plan to platinum sometime, which really says a lot about this game because I don't really trophy hunt every game, just the ones I thoroughly enjoy. The only really downside is that there aren't too much werewolves in this one. But regardless, it was still fun. Next up is of course Yakuza 0. So this was my introduction to the Yakuza series, and at the moment I've played 0, 1, and Lost Judgment. And honestly, I'm really enjoying the series so far. I really didn't have much knowledge about the series until 2024, but it's still one I'm glad that I got into. I had a lot of friends who played it, so it kind of did give me the encouragement to play it. And one of my girlfriends also has played Like a Dragon, which I'm definitely looking forward to getting to sometime. But this one was pretty fun. Yeah, it was an interesting story, had some really good characters, and overall it was a fun experience in gaming. Next up is Atlas Fallen. So this was one of the first games I played in May after some personal issues, and I'm really glad I played this game. It really cheered me up quite a lot, and is one I do want to get the platinum on. It's just such a perfect game, and I really enjoyed the world and the characters in this game, and it also reminds me a lot of Immortals of Avium, which I recently did play and really makes me respect this one a lot more. I reviewed it on my other channel a while back, and to this day it's still one of the best reviews I made in my opinion. Next up is of course Death and Request 1. This was just absolutely perfect. This one reminds me a lot of Blue Reflection, and it's just such a wonderful game. I played the first two so far, reviewed this one up on my channel, and I want to platinum hunt both games. I personally really enjoyed this one. It was just such an amazing game to play and just a delightful experience, and I'm looking forward to the roguelike that released, I think, earlier this year. I'm also looking forward to reviewing the second one because that one was pretty good too. I definitely urge people to play this one if they haven't yet. and go play the other Idea Factory games. I recently did finish Dragonstar Varna, but I've also played Fairy Fencer Dark Advent Force, and honestly, so far the games I found from Idea Factory are honestly really good, so I definitely recommend them. Have Eternites. Eternites is just honestly straight up good. It is such a perfect game. This was my first platinum back in May, and was honestly the first game that really made me feel a lot back in 2024. It was also my first game of 2024. I got it all the way back in 2023, but I wasn't able to complete it until the before the year ended. But honestly, I'm glad it was my first game of that year because it's such an amazing experience. Absolutely wonderful game, likable characters, and was one of the best platinums I was able to get. I also plan to do the PS4 version sometime. But moving on. Next up is, of course, Solstice. This was my second game of 2024, and this was a really fun game. I wasn't expecting much of it, but the story with this one and just the combat in general were really fun. I do want to review it sometime, but I'd have to replay it because it's been a bit. But I definitely urge people to go out and find this one because it's such an amazing game. And of course, next up is, of course, Tales of Berseria. This was not my introduction to Tales. Tales of Zestiria actually was, but this was my first Tales of game. And at the moment, I have Graces, Arise, Zestiria, and Vesperia, and Symphonia, and I plan to play them as soon as I can. Because so far, I'm definitely really enjoying this game, and recently, YS9 also reminded me of this game. And it really just shows that Tales of Berseria was just such an amazing game to experience. I wasn't expecting much from that one, but I was pleasantly blown away with just how awesome that game was. Of course, before I get into my number one pick, I do want to give some honorable mentions. Honorable mention one is, of course, Titanfall 2. This game was absolutely amazing. I wasn't expecting it to be as good, but it definitely felt like what Black Ops 3 should have been. Obviously, no hate towards Black Ops 3, but it sort of was a bit disappointing, and I feel like they should have went further into the futuristic stuff, but it was still an amazing game nonetheless, and so is Titanfall 2. Next up is, of course, Vampire. This was a Souls-like, and honestly was really amazing. This was the first Souls-like I've ever completed, and I really did enjoy this one. The combat, the enemies, the story, absolutely amazing, and just such a wonderful game. So I did Cyberpunk a bit dirty in my review. This game was a lot better than I initially realized, and honestly, it was an amazing game. In my review, I kind of remembered saying that it was just okay, but thinking back, yeah, I was definitely wrong. This game was it was amazing. Yeah, just definitely one of the best games I've ever played, and has since been a favorite of mine, and I'm looking forward to The Witcher 3 and, of course, the sequel. Next up is, of course, Miles Morales. So, this was the second release of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, and this was pretty good. I really do like how they portray Miles in this one, as he's learning a lot to be the new Spider-Man while Peter's on vacation. And the game also focuses on him and his community, and I think it did a really wonderful job. Miles Morales was one of the greatest games I played, and I was able to get the Platinum on the PS5 version, and I do plan to do that for the PS4 version when I can. I've also played Spider-Man 2, and just, wow, honestly, Insomniac did really good with these games. And of course, lastly but not least, is Grand Blue Fantasy V-Link, which honestly, this was one of the best games I played. This was one of the first games I bought after this thing in May, and this was one of the best decisions I've ever made. This was my introduction to the series, and it was probably one of the best games I've ever played, and I really enjoyed this game. It wasn't something I was expecting, and it just completely blew me away, became one of my favorite games, and I'm really glad I picked this one up. And of course, next up, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I really enjoyed this one, but I do enjoy the remake a lot better. Final Fantasy Rebirth was an interesting game, and just really kind of came out at the perfect time for me, as this was a few months before I started college, and kind of felt like I needed a game like this. I'm also looking forward to the final part of it, and I'm really glad that Remake and 16 are coming to Xbox, so hopefully this one comes out soon on that console too, because honestly, it is deserved. And of course, my number one pick is, of course, Persona 3 Reload. Yeah, so this shouldn't be a surprise. Persona 3 Reload is probably one of my favorite games of all time, and was a game I was immediately hyped for. I'm also looking forward to the Persona 4 remake. So this was a remake of Persona 3, which I did complete in 2023, but it's a completely new experience nonetheless, and honestly really deserved being on this list. And I'm very much glad that I was able to play this one. I haven't platinumed it yet, but I definitely do want to. So, little mistake I kind of noticed I made. This was going to be on the list. So, yeah, so it's technically, I guess, we'll just say it's my second favorite game. So, SMT5 Vengeance came out in 2024. It was a completely new experience compared to SMT5. Honestly, it's just so much better in like most ways. The new additions to the game also really good, and overall, this was a brand new experience, and really made the game much better in my opinion. I really did enjoy this one, and it definitely has got me looking more into Atlas games, some of which I've even played this year. So, a best games of 2025 list definitely is going to be difficult, especially since I've played so many games this year and have found some really good games during that time. So, of course, thankful for watching. Have a wonderful day, and of course, be back next time with a brand new Game Controversies video. So, stay tuned for that.